213 BC, 3682 AM. Universal Emperor of China, Qi Huangdi, in this year began the monumental Great Wall of China, the walled frontier and border fortresses erected to keep out the northern barbarians, their ancient Mongol enemies. Also in this year, Huangdi had all the known books his agents could gather throughout China burned in a campaign to erase the past. This was the 330th year of the Buddhist calendar that began in 543 BC. This was also the 500th year since Earth's orbit was altered and the solar year changed from 360 days to 365.25 days. 1. Mysteries and Magic. 211 BC, 3684 AM. The Roman navies besieged the Greek settlement of Syracuse, but were driven off by a device designed by Archimedes that reflected and concentrated sunlight, burning the Roman ships from a distance. Syracuse was founded anciently by descendants of Israel. Also in this year, other descendants of Israel through the Phoenician lines attacked Italy in the Carthaginian army, which marched all the way to the Anio River, 3 miles from Rome, in the Second Punic War. This year was precisely 1200 years, 14,400 months, after 1411 BC, when the Israelites invaded Argob and Bashan, defeating the giants under Sihon and Og. It was 792 years after the founding of the Davidic dynasty of Jerusalem in 1003 BC, and 720 years of the divided kingdom since 931 BC, when Israel and Judah separated. 1. Atlantis and the Kingdom of the Neanderthals. 207 BC, 3688 AM. Hannibal's brother named Hasdrubal was defeated in the Battle of Metaurus by the Romans in the Second Punic War. The names Hannibal and Hasdrubal were ancient ones that first appeared in the historical record as brothers during a series of wars between northern Africa and Italia from 1565 to 1478 BC, then being Annibal and Asdrubal. This was 720 years after many Israelites fled through Phoenician ports in 927 BC from the invasion by Egypt when the temple in Jerusalem was first sacked. This was the 1200th year since Israel had become a nation in 1407 BC by conquest. This was 138 years, 1656 months, after another disaster for the Phoenicians. In 345 BC, when the Persians attacked Sidon and deported the people back to Babylon. This year was 72 years after Carthage and Rome forged an alliance against Pyrrhus of Epirus, who had defeated the Romans in Italy. This year is 684 years before the fall of Rome in 476 AD by the Germans, descendants of the Cimmerians. In this year, Universal Emperor Qi Huangdi died, ending his dynastic line, and the entire empire broke apart into warring states. A famine begins killing myriads in China, lasting until 204 BC. The Irish annals reveal that a disease killed off a lot of livestock in this year. This was the 15th year of the Romanid Apocalypse Comet Group passing through the inner system. 206 BC, 3689 AM. The Romans were startled to see 2 suns in the sky over Rome, according to Livy. This was the 16th year of the Romanid Apocalypse Comet Group, and this second sun, no doubt being a locally passing object, brilliantly reflecting the sun's light. 1. Voyages of the Pyramid Builders. 205 BC, 3690 AM. The Black Stone of Pergamum, Asia Minor, was brought ceremoniously to Rome, for the books of the Sibyl had foretold that the victor of the war would be to the people who possessed some sacred stone. This rock from Pergamum was believed to be a meteorite. Quite coincidentally, in this year over Italy and the Mediterranean, historians say that stones rained from the sky. This was the 17th year of the passing of the Romanid Apocalypse Comet Group train. This was the 4104th year of the Phoenix chronology, and 3168 of the Olmec calendar, and 2898 of the Vedic calendar. Interestingly, this was the 540th year of the deportation of the Israelites by Assyria in 745 BC, many of those returning to Asia Minor and settling in Pergamon, 1. Celtic myths and legends. 2. Voyages of the pyramid builders. 204 BC, 3691 AM. The famine in China is devastating. Odd lights and things are seen in the skies over Italy and the Mediterranean. This is the 18th year of the passing of the Roman apocalypse comet group. 202 BC, 3693 AM. The Romans changed their war strategy, knowing that Hannibal was undefeatable on their own soil. During the Second Punic War, they had tried over and over again, and every army that opposed Hannibal was defeated. A Roman army passed over the Mediterranean and landed in northern Africa and took the war to Carthage. Hannibal returned to Africa and was defeated by the Romans under the very walls of Carthage in the Battle of Zama by the Roman general Scipio Africanus the Elder. Carthage fell to Rome. This was exactly 204 years after the Romans attacked the Etruscan city of Veii in 406 BC. And this victory over Carthage was 56 years to the final fall and destruction of Carthage by Rome in 146 BC. 1. A short history of the world. 201 BC, 3694 AM. The Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage ends with Rome victorious, Carthage surrendering Spain, largely Semitic, and paying Rome an enormous sum in war reparations. The people of Carthage agreed to hand over Hannibal, the greatest enemy Rome had ever had, but the wily general escaped. This was the 552nd year of Rome, and 476 years after the Assyrians destroyed the Phoenician city of Sidon, Carthage filled with descendants of the Sidonians. This was also 520 years after the Assyrians deported the last of the Israelites in 721 BC. This was 144 years after 345 BC, when the Persians captured Sidon and deported its people east to Babylon, and 108 years after 309 BC, when Greek Syracuse attacked Carthage and almost defeated the Carthaginians. 1. A short history of the world.